and press a button. So, okay, now we're live. That whole
Oh wow!
Oh my fucking god! Oh my fucking
That's
god!
a first.
And I got to be the one to figure it out. Yay!
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Uh-oh.
All right, so
You
Eagle
can blame
Rider
me.
will not be
You can
returning.
blame me.
This will be the Eagle Rider's one and only appearance on this show.
Imagine everyone
All right.
just has no context.
All right. To kind of explain things to people, I had started the show as normal, except I didn't press the go live button, and I went through the whole introduction for people, and then Eagle Rider, being the nose little minx she is, pointed, "Are we actually live?" I was like, "Yeah, we're live." And I looked at the button. It's like, "No, we're not." I was like, "Shit,
Amateur.
shit."
Fucking amateurs.
Eagle Rider, this is for you. Yeah, yes, Jake. What the F? Oh, what the F? Oh my god.
Sorry.
I am so not on the ball today. It is
For those of you that don't know, Jay Heat's favorite comic is Marvel.
Ooh.
I wanted to make sure that was known by people.
I'm just gonna sit here and laugh demonically at him screwing that up.
Yeah. So, well, that's certainly new way to open the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you were riding a sub or anything. I mean, you know.
Oh, too soon.
Oh, jeez.
All right,
Wow.
so let's just get that topic out of the way first. So first off, I'm being serious here.
Mhm.
Yes, I'm talking to Eagle. I just wanted to say, my heart goes out to the family, friends, all the people, the ocean disaster. You know, I don't want any jokes at their expense. They, these people lost their lives. But yeah.
Or how about those stupid people on the internet that are celebrating these people getting killed?
I know.
Like you can talk. You can.
Oh, sorry.
Like there are valid criticisms to be made, like the shoddy design, the fact that like, oh, we don't want 50-year-old white people piloting the sub,
Yep.
like,
Diversity.
Those are valid, but just
Never wish
people
for
lost their
people to
lives.
have harm come to them. Even your enemies do not wish harm on another person.
I don't. Wish
It's not
death
bad
upon,
on them. It's hard on us. We have to be better than that.
I don't wish death upon my enemies. Just infinite inconvenience.
I don't
I'm
wish
a firm
death
believer
upon.
in karma.
Listen. I don't wish death upon anybody. I just will make it happen if they try to break into my house.
Oh my god! I wish I had that the GTA San Andreas truck. You're in the wrong house, fool.
Yeah, that dude, Maddie. Yeah, that's the one that I found heartbreaking, where the son who didn't even want to go kind of was forced to do it.
Yeah. I'm sure the wife is the son. If he had a wife, I imagine he did.
And apparently, did you guys see that? Like, apparently, the incident happened actually on Monday because, like, the Navy picked up the implosion.
Yeah, that's
Distraction.
the most fucked up part. Like, this is part where like I'm actually gonna get angry. Why the fuck did they stretch this whole thing out for a week when they knew with like at least 80 to 90% certainty that this was it? Like, seriously.
It was a news cover distraction. Yeah, because like the what is it, the WhatsApp or whatever conversation with a certain crime regime running the country. Where they're like, look, we literally have them dead to rights, and like, hey, look, there's a sub. Like,
probably also the 6 billion accounting error is also something they're trying to extract from.
Dude, that's our money.
You remember how the day before 9/11 they announced they had lost $1 trillion?
Yep. And then Building 7 just mysteriously imploded 3 blocks away.
Yeah, the building that like literally the side of the Pentagon that housed the records went up in flames.
Yep, convenient.
Okay. Let's kind of walk away before we get all.
Let me take off my tin hat real quick.
What are these red dots?
Please.
Why are all the?
Is that an alien spaceship hovering above my house?
Oh, don't get me started about the government. Like,
Pay no
our
attention to the
UFOs.
drones I sent. They look like alien ships.
There's
Yeah,
really quiet
okay.
black helicopters out right now.
Wait. See, mean the hovering blue, pink dildos aren't you?
No, fuck no.
The helicopters.
Look, I have
Oh my
nothing.
God.
I have nothing against dildos, but pink can fuck off. I hate that fucking color.
I feel there's been like 6 different conversations happening simultaneously. I know nothing about.
jeez.
I mean,
Like, how many layers of in jokes are going on right now?
Welcome to Friday Night Frenzy.
Remember, in the Friday Night Frenzy, Wonder Bat is canon, and the topics, they're more like a set of guidelines.
You would bring up that first part, you SOB.
JD, can you start chanting Wonder Bat in chat, please, for Jared?
They makes me want to punch a window.
Jared,
Or actually punch Jason Todd back to life like they did in the comics.
Jared right now will be like,
What have you done?
Right now I'm more like the Hulk in the Incredible Hulk back before they turned him into Smart Hulk, otherwise known as Beta Hulk.
Yes.
thank you, Jay Heat.
Oh god.
Oh, don't worry, Jay Heat, I'm coming for you, dude. It's gonna happen. I already got Nick. I put I made him a new logo for my show that put his logo on top of Captain Marvel. I got him. Followed by Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson making out.
Ooh.
Fuck off, bud.
I definitely got him. Worth it.
By the way, I'm leaving that up. Like, I'm just gonna leave that up.
I'm just gonna sit here and do this until people feel intimidated.
But and remember, that's the ship that Zack Snyder, in fact, said not gonna work.
Well, yeah. I mean, imagine her Kegel muscles. It'd be like a guillotine down there.
Oh, jeez.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Don't fucking threaten me with a good time.
Wait. That comment made me think of a really, really twisted way to do a sequel to Teeth.
Yes.
Ale, Wookie Bad. I would let you in, but I don't have enough space, so just you're welcome to stay.
He's
in
a
chat.
cheap fucker who won't pay. I mean,
I
yeah,
mean-
that's true.
I mean, well,
Of course!
oh, okay. So let's try and get on the main topic tonight. So
no.
Is there such thing as a main topic on this show, Nick?
there's a suggestion of a main topic.
You need
All right, so-
guidance.
Someone has to be the adult in the room, and Eagle Rider clearly is not it.
Oh, bullshit. What is wrong with sitting here painting the handle of a dagger?
Should I
It's
just
very immature.
sit here? Should I just sit here holding my trident?
Try.
I'm actually working, damn it.
Well, you can try.
I mean, yeah.
Wait, that's like a pendant, isn't it? Is that fine?
Well, it's the trident Aquaman had in the Snyder Cut.
Oh, sweet.
I
So
don't
I
want
rule
to know how
Atlantis,
much you
so-
paid for that.
$40. I rule Atlantis, and in there, it's illegal to even say the name Wonder.
Well, we're not in Atlantis, so want to bet.
Oh, no.
Want to bet.
Suck a fat fucking cock.
Oh, damn.
Don't mind if I do.
Thank you,
I
Eagle
see that
Rider.
on the hub.
Sorry, Wonderbat's a piss bitch.
Thank you.
Nix, are you there?
Yep.
All right. Sorry. How you doing?
Good. Just give me a sec.
Oh,
Got the
okay.
wee ones.
Yeah, she's the other responsible adult.
Uh,
Give side eye to Eagle Rider. All right. So, so the Flash came out, and it obviously didn't do well. Some people like it, Jared. Some people have just poor taste, I guess.
It's peak DC, man.
Some people like it, and some people actually have taste. So we'll go from there.
and some people think
Damn.
it's the best movie since The Dark Knight.
ooh,
Not
Some people
me.
really don't have taste. Then wow.
Yeah, and it's like we see this. This is literally like you can literally set your watch to this, which That is like honestly, that's like that phrase is so outdated. It needs an update. It needs an HD remake.
I can set my phone to it.
That's just what I was gonna say.
Sure.
Sorry,
And
I
like
had to look after my nieces. I'm the only one home right now.
price of being responsible, I guess.
You.
Responsibility can suck it.
The hype was manufactured by DC Comics themselves.
Yeah.
And well, here's the other issue is that, I'm gonna say it, like a complete and utter moron. James Gunn announces before these movies come out. By the way, they don't matter because we're rebooting after this.
Yep,
So
yep.
I'm gonna screw. So it actually came out that if Aquaman and Blue Beetle don't do well, he will have cost Warner Bros. Discovery $1.1 billion.
See,
Yeah.
this is the reason to cancel him and not hire him. Not because he made inappropriate jokes years ago, but because he's fucking good at wasting money.
Honestly,
That's the reason to be offended at him.
I've actually heard a commentator saying, yeah, his job is not safe. It'd be kind of interesting. He gets fired before he can even release a movie for DCU for his DCU.
So are you saying the hierarchy of DC on film is about to change?
Ironically, it did because Black Adam made the most money of all the DC movies released in the last year.
Ouch! And that was a bomb.
Oof.
I just saw Elemental made more than The Flash.
I just gotta say this. Can you smell what the Snyder is?
Well, look, you know, as long as they're kissing ass and not firing people like Ezra Miller, they can go fucking suck it.
Yeah, so this is what pisses me off, all right? I love how quickly the topic got derailed, but okay, it's good discussion. This is what pisses me off.
That's a record for us.
I aim to please, bitches. I mean...
Whatever. So anyway, this is what pisses me off, all right? So you have people like Johnny Depp, who has allegations thrown against him, and he gets kicked off of Fantastic Beasts, all right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He sues Amber Heard, and it gets proven in court that Amber Heard made up these allegations. At the absolute worst, both Amber Heard and Johnny Depp were mutually toxic and codependent.
Yeah.
At the absolute worst.
Nick, I just want to emphasize one point. A jury of his peers found him in favor. The court of law, a jury of his peers.
Let me point out something. Let me point out something about the legality in this also. When you are suing people for slander and libel, you have to hit a higher mark than the levels you have to hit to prove yourself not guilty are higher than they have to hit to prove you guilty in the courts.
Well, yeah, because there's money
like literally,
involved.
it's easier to convict OJ of murder than it is to prove libel.
Well,
just about actually, yes.
That's a dated reference if you really
especially if you're a celebrity, because there's an automatic assumption that you are supposed to be talked about, and people can say what they want, basically.
Or even more, Johnny Depp is a man and he's suing a woman like that we can't deny that factor in the case.
Yeah,
and
because there's a huge bias on that, and then there's these few judges out there who, because of that bias, are like going after every woman that's accused, whether or not there's any evidence too. And I've dealt with a few of those judges too. It's like, can we just treat everyone blindly when they enter the fucking courts, regardless of the fucking junk in their pants, please?
The administration
supposed to be
really
blind.
that.
Yeah, and so you have Johnny Depp getting fired. Amber Heard, meanwhile, is still going to be in the new Aquaman movie. Supposedly max 20 minutes, but that's 20 minutes too long. We all know that.
I don't know, dude. They're doing some reshoots right now. Some more reshoots.
I'm just saying, if the new Aquaman trailer drops and Amelia Clark is in Amber Heard's wetsuit, I will be very happy.
No, Nick. I swear, a missed opportunity is for him to make an actual Flashpoint movie, because we could have had Gal Gadot cutting off the head of Amber Heard's Mara.
Yeah,
very cathartic.
Yeah.
Dude, like that really the thing that about Marvel and Disney that bothers me is that their cartoons and live action movies are inversed, meaning that Marvel's live action movies up until Endgame were freaking top notch, but their animation sucked because of all the weird PC stipulations, like you can't punch women on screen and shit. And then on the opposite of that, you had all the live action DC movies, which were, in my opinion, subpar. but their
Most of them were
animated
shit.
ones-
Let's be honest.
Yeah, but
Well-
their animated ones were amazing. Like the Flashpoint Paradox one, that's
Well-
right up there with one of my
Oh
favorites.
God.
There's a reason for Flashpoint Paradox was freaking awesome, but there's a reason why DC movies, live action movies, struggled as opposed to Marvel movies, because Marvel movies were not being constantly undermined by the head sheds whenever they did anything. Because what actually really happened is that essentially what we're dealing with right now on the DC side is if Marvel, after Avengers 1, decided, screw it, we're going to reboot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're dealing with right now. Instead of saying, granted, we had a couple of stinkers, Birds of Prey, but we've also had some pretty good ones, like the Snyder Cut, just saying.
Yeah, they saw the Avengers Assemble movie, and they're like, we got to do that. And it's like, I don't think they understood that what Marvel did to get to that Avenger Assemble.
Yeah.
Movie. Like, they should have had individual movies that led up to it. Like, Wonder Woman was literally in Batman versus Superman before she had her Wonder Woman movie.
Mm-hmm. No, but even Zach was like, yeah, I think I should do other movies before this. And they're like, no, you have to do Avengers now.
Like, it's one thing. It's one thing if you have side characters show up in movies beforehand before getting that, but not your top tier characters. Like
you don't introduce a top tier character suddenly in a movie where they're one of multiple top tiers. You give them a fucking introduction movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess before we get too off topic, I feel like I probably ought to point out, seeing as how much The Flash just bombed, that recasting you were hoping for seems more viable.
Yes.
Virtually viable.
I'll be happy as soon as Ezra Miller is being shot out of cannon. There, I said.
Jared, if I even hear a whiff of,
Starting to real, they could be realizing maybe those fans were right. Maybe they won't show up to this.
Look, I need to say this. Jared, if I even hear a whiff of a rumor that Grant Gustin is meeting with Warner Brothers executives, I am blowing up your wall with that link.
And watch it actually him saying he'd never meet with Warner Brothers executives, and I'd say read the article.
Well, Andrew Garfield swore up and down he was not in Spider-Man. So.
Oh, you mean like Grant Gustin swore up and down he was not in The Flash, and guess what? He does not show up in The Flash. Spoiler alert.
Or remember how George Clooney said he was not in The Flash?
Yeah, but that was years and years and years ago.
You remember how George Clooney claimed that he never did sitcoms too? So let's just ascertain that he's a lying douchebag.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And a horrible Batman, but that's besides the point.
The worst Batman of all time.
I just wish Val Kilmer was in better health. Otherwise, he could have been the one at the end of The Flash. Because I'm sorry, Val Kilmer's Batman is awesome. Also, # release Schumacher cut.
Yeah,
which that could actually happen.
The problems that Forever had were not the actors. It was the over-the-top scenery and some of the ways they cut the scenes and all that stuff. The actors actually had
toy makers
personalities.
designing everything.
It was very 90s neo-gothic grunge neon, and it didn't quite work. But the actors themselves and the people playing it had the acting abilities and the chops. They just needed to tone some of the other shit down and actually focus the movie better. It had too much of the 90s in it in some ways.
Yeah, well,
because they're not going to cast a TV star to play a movie actor. That's not the way this works. Particularly when they firmly established that the movies are in a different multiverse than the TV shows.
Well, here's my counter argument. How many of you guys have seen the Crisis on Infinite Earth scene where Grant meets Ezra?
Yeah, but because they're on a different Earth. That's what I'm saying.
No. That's not my point. My point is, if you actually watch the scene, I'm sorry, but like Grant shows how much of a better actor he is. Yeah. Grant is literally running circles around Ezra, acting wise, and yes, that's
okay. Let me make this abundantly clear so nobody has any questions where I stand on this. The only thing I ever fucking want to see Ezra in is a coffin or jail.
I'm okay with that.
Sorry. There's too many things he's done going after youth and going after native kids and stuff. Fuck him hard, and I hope he ends up in jail being somebody's ass buddy.
I mean,
Too late, honey.
But like a few of those things, I will say, a few of those things were overblown by people.
I'll just say, speaking as somebody who has family in Standing Rock, a lot of it was also covered up by the media.
Yeah, he was like some weird cult shit. Like, it was like babies eating bullets and shit.
He ran a cult
Edward
in
Miller?
Iceland.
Yeah.
He ran a cult in Iceland, and there are survivors who have told their stories.
No, I
Yes.
wasn't really present for that part. I had to deal with my nieces. My youngest is hitting my oldest.
Oh.
Yeah.
break that
Try
shit
to
up.
curb that before she gets older. She is a violent and mean child at times. Very concerning.
As most children are.
I wouldn't know any kid that was like that.
Well, if you want, all you had to do was look in the mirror at 10 years old.
10 years old. First brawl I got in, I was 2.
Okay, and we're walking.
I wish I was kidding. It was actually literally, as Mom said, she watched me beat up the bully that was chasing my siblings around with a lead pipe.
I have conflicted feelings about that.
On one hand, that's badass. On the other hand, damn.
It's like that kindergarten that was doing the UFC with the toddlers.
What?
What?
That sounds like a parody. That sounds
No,
like
no,
that
that
YouTube parody.
No, there was a kindergarten that got busted somewhere in the Midwest for holding UFC matches or mixed martial arts matches with toddlers.
Ironically, I just watched. That's the ironic part. You bring that up. I was watching Creed earlier today, so that's timing for you right there.
So now we know where Jeffrey Epstein has been hiding.
Yeah, round one.
Oh Lord!
That was a bad joke. But seriously, like as soon as the video of Ezra Miller choking out a fan came out, he should have been gone. Like that shit. Like seriously, there's a video of him choking a fan, and he still kept his job.
And the video choking the fan, she was pregnant.
Ouch!
Oh my god!
Oh my! Like seriously, like he. Like,
I didn't know that part.
I found that one out after the fact when some of the stuff was released during the court stuff. Yeah, she was pregnant when he did it to her.
All the stuff he was doing in Hawaii, like him literally getting arrested and being a general terror in Hawaii.
Hitting a random woman with a chair because he had a fit on a boat. I mean,
yeah. Honestly, we're at that stage in society where everybody at least once in their lives should experience what being punched in the face feels like. Because it really does make you more humble.
I mean, what's that? I think there's a movie line. It's like, some of you all never got punched in the face, and it really shows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of learn respect for other people when you realize that there's only a societal agreement keeping them from breaking your nose bridge. You know.
I don't know. When that shit happened to me, I just learned how to hurt the people that tried it. So
this is what pisses me off. This is what pisses me off even more. Is Ezra is using trans, binary, whatever, as a fucking shield to escape persecution.
To get away with all kinds of crimes. And you know what? Here, let me offend somebody else, which is exactly what fucking Jenner did. Announces, I'm trans in his 60s, 2 days after he killed a woman with vehicular homicide texting while driving.
Or Kevin Spacey coming out as gay. Like Kevin Spacey coming out as, like, I think everyone knew he was gay, but like he the fact that he came out as gay literally like the day after all these allegations came out, and that even then he was so heinous. Even then, that still wasn't enough to cover.
Yeah, because it sounded like he was trying to link gayness to his attraction to young boys, and I'm like, that's the wrong tactic right now, brother.
Well, do you remember Seth MacFarlane making all these jokes like long before what's his face there? Harvey Feinstein, and then
everyone knew what Harvey Weinstein was doing. Like,
Weinstein.
Remember, like I fucking hate Courtney Love. I'm a Nirvana fan and fuck Courtney Love, but I have to give her credit. Like, I hate to do this, but I gotta give her credit. She was calling out Harvey Weinstein in the 90s.
Yep.
I don't like her, but I have to give her credit. I have
the
that took a lot of guts to do that.
The problem with her is she called out men being abusive. Meanwhile, she was an abusive psycho slut herself.
Well,
so it was hypocritical.
Literally,
what bothers me is like Oprah and Meryl Streep and everybody. they enabled this, and until
Yeah.
Harvey was no longer a useful asset to them, they cut him
Just remember, we still have the footage of Meryl Streep leading the standing ovation for Polanski while he was on the run for sodomizing a 13-year-old.
Yep.
Also, we also have the photo of Oprah literally giving a woman to Harvey Weinstein, and then that woman looks scared shitless.
Yeah, I think it was like Emma Watson or something too.
As I've said before, and I shall say again, fuck Oprah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
nobody
they did.
wants to fuck that shit. I mean, okay, I am very opinionated, and you guys are bringing it right out. Thank you, bravo.
That's fine. I don't even care that okay. Yep, I found the photo. I found the photo. Let me just download this real quick, and then you just I'm gonna show the photo of Oprah, and oh my god, just look at the girl's face.
Yeah.
Oh dear God, this is a really low res photo. Okay, all right. Let me present. All right, Jared's going. Sorry.
It's all good, guys. I got stuff I gotta get done anyway. But have a
Take
great
care.
stream.
Have a
All
good
right.
one, man.
Yep. I think we kind of scared him away because we were just kind of all over the place. But
Sorry, Jared.
it's fine. He's cool. But all right, here we go. Check this out.
Yeah.
Look at that girl's face.
That is not a good face.
That's we call that the Ghislaine Maxwell.
Look at Oprah. She's all happy. Literally, seriously.
I know, I've seen it.
This will get me a new career,
He
right?
was sacrificed at its finest.
Spirit
Oh
cooking.
my god.
That poor girl.
Yeah. Well, there's that movie that's coming out that Disney is burying, something like Cry of Freedom or whatever, about
course they would.
there's an INS guy or whatever who quit INS to go and basically stop a certain trafficking racket that goes right through Hollywood. So Disney bought it up and tried to bury it, and apparently Mel Gibson is countering that and now putting it out in theaters. And there's all sorts
for
of
him.
Yeah, who was that woman that Oprah was presenting? Savage says it might be Shipka, but I don't know. It doesn't look like her.
I
know
also,
it looks familiar. That's what I know.
Also, Shipka was probably 2 or 3 years old when this photo was taken, because this is probably from early 2000s. You remember, Shipka's actually a lot younger than you know.
All I noticed is a photo of a woman before she had herpes.
Oh Lord.
Oh, that was cruel.
Yeah, that was. Oh shit. Nice to the victims. Be nice to the victims, fucker. I mean,
Well, that's the thing is I lived and worked in Hollywood, and a lot of the victims are scum themselves as well, and we have to acknowledge that is a lot of these people are willing to be victims until it's no longer because it's all about fame. It's this pursuit of fame. Anything it takes. And the very few ones that actually have morals and are like, no, screw you, get silenced and attacked. And those are the ones.
Corey
that
Feldman.
let me explain this here, because with this, when I said be nice to the victims, I don't consider people who were willingly on that casting couch a victim.
Yeah, that's true, and that's a
that
good
girl
percentage of
wasn't.
Hollywood.
That girl obviously wasn't. She was terrified.
Well, it's you want to be a star, eh? And that's
yeah,
what happens.
you may not know that for sure.
Well, no.
Let me explain here. That one, we don't know what happened with that picture, except for she was terrified and not obviously happy or willing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to sit here and take shots at her because we don't know what happened.
Even know who that is. I don't even know who that is. So I'm not taking shots at her. I'm just taking shots at Hollywood in general.
What's up? What's up, Rose? We're just talking about Harvey Weinstein and some of the really, really bad crap he's done. Yeah, this episode got delayed, derailed real quick.
Don't blame me. I'm just sitting here trying to paint blades and daggers.
No, I don't blame you at all, Rose. All right. So all right, trying to be the good guy and get this back on track. So
good luck.
Why is it that Hollywood's go-to defense nowadays is oh, toxic fandoms are bad, fans are racist. Like if I do not want to hear, if I hear someone say, oh, no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, I am going to fucking blow a gasket.
No, there was nobody black in Star Wars before. Clearly, thumbing their nose at Lando and everyone else.
Well,
Like, fucking assholes.
I think the problem stems from consumerism becoming an identity. Like, this whole fandom concept as a community seems a little whack to me, in that your identity is now being tied to consuming a product. When I was younger, it was more like you just liked it, and if you found other people that liked it, then that was cool. You guys had a mutual interest, but that wasn't the entirety of your identity. In fact, I know a lot of people that hated a lot of stuff I liked, but there was like one or two things that we actually had a commonality of like a crossover that we liked, and that was fine. But we never considered ourselves like part of some identity group. And I see that across a lot of like the color revolution that hits hits nations when a certain social movement starts taking over, where they classify people into communities, for communityism. You can shorten that. But,
I remember one ridiculous, like, oh, the pedal builder community is really angry at this one musician right now because he said some stuff. Like, I remember I read that on Twitter. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And so
wait. Where do we give a fuck? Where do we give a fuck who's angry at who?
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, personally, I don't fucking care. But,
Yeah. But it's that's how they like remember when the term incel magically manifested itself? Like, it was one of these terms that they invent, then they demonize it, and then they accuse everybody of that term. They like everybody that they deem an enemy to belong to that term. So it's a convenient punching bag.
Slight correction. That they didn't invent that term, actually. It did exist in some old literature, but it was very rarely used and really specific. That's the thing. It's just, they're not inventing terms. They're taking words that used to exist that were really serious, like cuckoldry and all these, and they're manipulating them as insults to everyone to cheapen them. And it's also what they're doing with accusations of people who are committing crimes, which anytime you throw around racist, you throw around sexist, you throw around molestation and rape and all that, you make it harder for actual victims to come forward and get help. You make it harder for people to be believed and heard. And that's why it's really insidious. It's really evil.
Eagle, real quick. Thank you, Caitlin, for how is Final Fantasy 16 like that? Like, honestly, I'm honored to stop a game. So yeah, we will do our
That's a whiplash.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous, by the way. Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, yeah. Like, this is the one part where it's like, yeah, certain parts of are certain parts of Star Wars fandom toxic as hell. Yes, like the whole
every fandom has them.
Raylos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Rick and Morty fans.
Ugh.
Yeah, but none of that stuff existed prior to social media.
I still remember. I still remember fans viciously fighting in the 80s over original series and next gen. So you can't say it didn't exist. It just wasn't publicized.
Also, so this is not really talked about a lot, but when Michael Keaton was cast as Batman, like, people were outraged, and there was actually a letter writing campaign to Warner Brothers to have him not play Batman. Like, people don't really realize toxic fans have been there for a while. Like if you watch old Tiny Toons,
Because he was so short.
like if you actually watch Tiny Toons, there's actually they actually have snippets where they're making fun of their fans. Like, there's actually snippets because like the online message boards of like the early 90s, they actually mocking people. Like, so people think this shit where like these TV shows call out their fans in the show. It's not a new thing.
No, but it's not to the degree that online, like the online interactions have amplified like all the negativity.
It's the anonymity.
Yes, Maddie.
Big difference between the intent of Tiny Toons and the intent of like Thundercats Roar and Teen Titans Go.
Yeah. I was going to say though, it's always been a bit of a thing. There's always been the wars. There's always been the hatred groups, but it wasn't as bad. I remember, we were in these groups where we were vicious to each other. We'd scream, we'd yell, we'd argue, and then at the end of it, we'd be laughing at each other. I remember that, but social media has taken everything that existed and heightened it and given it a voice. Just like the whole selfie culture, just like the me first culture. More people pushing into the selfish mindset because it's so showcased in society.
Wait,
It's
so
so
you're telling me
prevalent
I'm not the center
everywhere.
of the universe? I'm not.
You're not
The
even
world
the
doesn't
center of
exist
our
in that
universe,
sense.
fucker. I mean,
Solipsism. No, yeah, I just like as a kid, like I remember like when G.I. Joe went weird, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like
weird.
yeah, like G.I. Joe as a cartoon when I was a kid was like a paramilitary thing, and it was cool. And they added ninjas and stuff, and that was kind of cool. And then I started seeing ugly toys appearing on the store shelves where they're like, we got Tiger Force and we got Colobulus and all. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here?
Shio
then,
actually brings up a good point.
Oh,
sorry to cut you off.
No.
About like the Sherlock fandom of the 1800s. Like Arthur Conan Doyle actually killed. Like you remember that story where like him and Moriarty plummeted to their death? He actually did that because he was tired of dealing with the Sherlock fans. He tried to kill the character, and he was forced to bring it back. That was in the 1880s. Like fandoms have been toxic for a very long time.
But it's not so much fandoms as unstable people exist everywhere. And the moment you expose yourself to the public, you expose yourself to mentally ill, unstable people. You know,
let's take this another route here because
G.I. Joe.
let me explain that here because everyone always uses mental illness to describe everything wrong in society. Really, honestly, most mental illness doesn't do anything except for make you struggle yourself with trying to cope with life. It's not mental illness is the problem with selfish or evil or violence. It's psycho evil people who willingly choose to be psycho evil, selfish, and greedy.
Also, I think one of the things that social media has done has really proved that there are tons of people that the only reason they're not narcissistic, toxic fucks is because of society. Is because they have to act a certain way, or else like social media honestly has unveiled that human beings are a lot more nasty than we give ourselves credit for.
Oh yeah, human nature is an evil thing. I mean, think about it from a strictly biological perspective. We are a selfish, self-absorbed, self-important thing that kills other things to survive.
And also, I think we're going against 4 million years of socio-biological evolution because human beings were not meant to be all one race. We were not raised to be all one society. That is not what is within our DNA. Human beings are supposed to be part of a group, and we war against another group. Our tribes, like human beings, we have been socially conditioned through 4 million years of evolution to favor a tribe, to favor a smaller group, and we conquer other groups. That is how it's been for 4 million fucking years.
Yep.
And now we're trying to be like, oh, we're all one people, we're all one tribe, it's all sunshine and rainbows and pride flags everywhere. And we're just not like that. And we see this.
The thing is,
all right, go ahead.
Do we need to better ourselves? Absolutely. Do we need to not be the violent sociopaths that species has been in over the past? Yes, but it is not. There's a difference between let's not be completely psycho versus let's try to make everyone fit into the same group together and all be together and interact. And look, I'm introverted. I don't want to hang out with you people. Fuck it. That's okay. And the fact that people don't all want, they're trying to push everyone into cities and control us and make us all live the same way, eat the same way, think the same way. It doesn't fucking work. It will never fucking work.
We've gotten to a point where literally the sight of nature is enough to make people not depressed. Like, how fucked up as a society do we have to be? We're literally just putting people seeing trees is enough to like elevate their mood. How fucking demented
some
do we
people
have to be?
Wait. Don't complain about this. The fact that people are so enamored with nature at this point is why I can post little videos that have me shaking with my freaking Parkinson's issues in them of an animal for 10 seconds and get subs off it. This is the reason I went from 900 to 2,300 almost in a few months. So let's not knock the fact that people are hooked on nature.
I mean, I prefer to be hooked on phonics, but that's
What
I
did you
prefer to
say,
be hooked
Lester?
on my husband, but that's a different story. I mean,
Oh, ayo! Oh, yeah, I want to read this. Let's see here. We need to understand our inner pulses and be able to work with them. Like, yeah, I think these big corporations, they understand our impulses better than we do. It's just they're using our own nature against us.
Mhm.
That's my belief. Is they want us fighting, like they want us distracted, and kind of to build off of what Eagle Rider was saying. It's like we do not need to be like this one big monolith of monoculture. What we need to be also
A niche.
Nix. Also, Nix,
Yeah.
I understand. You take care.
I'll be right back. I just have to take care of something.
All right. Yeah. We'll probably be on for a little while longer, so you're all good. Yeah. Anyway, she said she had to go, so I wanted to kind of like get her stuff. But yeah, like it's just, we lost all this big monoculture when we can't.
Mhm.
This might be fairy tale thinking, but like I feel like the best thing for all of us is to be a bunch of groups, but all the groups agree to peacefully coexist. I feel like even that's like maybe asking for too much, but like that I feel like is best case scenario for humanity.
Well, humanity is a doomed species in that their only true unity or their only true unifying factor is their like basically cooperation in destroying an opponent. Like in order for the world to be united, we would need an extraterrestrial enemy.
I mean, why do you think they're unveiling aliens?
Yeah, that's the cure for globalism.
How much of a cosmic irony would that be if, like, the reason, like, oh shit, we're losing control of the narrative. All right, unveil aliens. Let's conquer the universe, people. The Imperium of Man.
Yeah, Terminators.
Oh, I was doing a Warhammer reference, but yeah.
Yeah. What is it? The Exterminatus there, where they have the giant cannon that nukes a planet. But yeah, I mean, for me, like as I get older, I find that my tolerance for people gets lower and lower. Like when I was younger, I had a much higher threshold because it was like, oh, I generally like. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just getting old and miserable. Get off my lawn. But it's just.
I started that way.
With the stuff I see on social media is not real communication. I mean, It's performative. It's I'm right, you're wrong. And like I literally will engage with people and then find myself on social media going, no, disconnect, step away from the keyboard.
And yet I have actually become friends with people who we've actually changed each other's minds on things. And maybe it's because while I like fighting, I'm willing to listen also.
I mean, this stream is living testament to that. Like, seriously, all three of you guys, I've never met you in person, and if you do, I want to get lunch. So, but still, like, internet is like anything else. It's a blessing. It's a curse. It exacerbates certain things. It makes things better.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at things like Twitter and I look at things like Facebook and I see like even former classmates, people I've been to school with for years and stuff. And I'm like, you would have never spoken to me like that if we were face to face. What makes you think now it's an appropriate way to address?
And if you were face to face now, he still wouldn't.
I don't understand the changing your personality based on where you are and who you're talking to at the time.
Yeah.
I've never understood that.
Same here.
It's about fitting in. It's about trying to fit in with the group.
It doesn't matter where I am. I am the person that I am. I am blunt.
Well, you're stronger than
I am
most,
opinionated. So. Well, I think it's also I'm not good at faking anything. I don't fake
it's
well.
exhausting.
What I feel is what you hear, especially with the seizure damage and other stuff. I don't have a filter system. I have my brain going, don't say that. It might offend them. I have my brain going, oops, that already got out before I could stop it.
Guys, just to let you know, so I got someone who's about to come in. They're commenting in the chat. They asked, and we have the space. So, yeah. All right, so give it a few minutes. They'll be coming in. So, cool. But yeah.
What I was going to get at with that is it goes to the fandom issue, too. It goes deeply into it. In fact, I've never understood that, well, I disagree with you, so I'm going to hate you thing. Yeah. I will be friends with anybody. I don't care if you're religious, non-religious, you're whatever color, whatever sex, whatever anything, as long as you're not an asshole to me.
See, it all goes back to conquering. It all goes back to just conquering different tribes. Like it's not, and you see this on literally both sides of the fence. It's about owning the libs. It's about owning the Nazis.
Yeah,
it's about owning the SJWs. It's just, they want
Yeah,
to,
and fuck all that bullshit. I just want them all to fuck off. I mean, I'm really swearing a lot.
Actually,
today.
I
I'm
just
not
want
sure.
them to fuck. I just want them to fuck, to be honest.
Yeah,
Let's get a big old
let's
orgy
be honest.
going on.
Just bring out the taming of the shrew. Just bring out the taming of the shrew. Go fuck until you can't bitch anymore. I mean,
Yeah, amen, Maddie.
I guess that's
although it apparently doesn't work on me because I get plenty of both. So
I guess that's also part of why some people will try to like claim characters or entire
oh my god, that
IPs
fucking
as just
pisses me off.
that's ours, that belongs to us. It's just this conquered territory.
Gwen is trans
no
now
sense
because
of building,
she has
just
translating.
conquered territory is the only thing to value in
And-
that kind of
and
money.
there's a
dude.
legitimate argument on both sides of some of that. Because yes, when people are coming into a fandom that has existed a long time, it's established, there's ways that it's run, there's ways it's operated, there's fans who love it for what it is, and they come in and they go, this is an interesting space, now let's change everything to match us. It's like, no, fuck you, we were here first. But
Yeah,
at the
it's
same time, there's also these people who, the moment somebody starts to try and show up, it's, you're not a real fan, you're not a real fan, oh, you're just coming in for this, you're just doing this. It's like,
There needs to be a balance.
bitch, fuck off.
What's clear is there needs to be a balance, because if you're too open, you basically have people come in, they change the space, and they boot you out. But the same token, if you're too much of a gatekeeper, then no one wants to join your fandom, because
Is this when I make the
false.
inappropriate joke about you using the word token while I'm here?
sure, go ahead. Also, someone wanted our new challenger enters the stream.
Hey guys, how's it
Beware,
going?
beware, be very,
What up?
very aware. I mean,
You guys can't scare me off. I got some seriously thick skin.
All right. Shio versus Eagle, go tonight on HBO.
hey, I'm sweet and innocent. You can't prove anything else.
Well, not a court of law, but certainly the court of public opinion.
We could just rewind the stream. And we
I'm
could-
Yeah.
sweet. I'm mouthy, but I'm sweet.
I'm not
Well,
touching that.
Well, to go to something you were mentioning about like the real fans or whatever,
Mhm.
dude. I'm getting close to the big 5-0. I've never been a real
Oh,
fan of
dear.
anything. Okay, like if that's like if there's a purity test to like be part of the club for a fan, I don't want anything to do with that club.
You
Like,
fail.
yeah, my thing is like I enjoy things. I was a huge fan of Star Trek: The Next Generation. I love Deep Space Nine. It's probably my favorite of the group. I loved Voyager, loved Janeway, all that stuff. But the new Trek stuff, yeah, I'm done. Like I don't need it. Like
I mean,
I
we all
don't
know Picard
identify-
is the best captain anyway, so.
yeah.
And honestly, Star Trek was great when it was under Roddenberry, but as soon as the new guy started taking hold of it, it really, really showed that
Yep.
it was going to go downhill. Really, really fast.
I disagree, because Rick Berman basically took over Star Wars in like the 90s and kind of 2000s, and I actually think he was a pretty decent shepherd, because he had shows like Voyager was pretty good. I actually think Enterprise is really underrated.
Is this when I point out that you actually said Star Wars? Not
Yeah,
Star
he
Trek?
did.
yeah, I noticed
Yes.
that too.
He
I
said
wasn't
Star Wars.
quite sure.
Don't.
Okay, Rick Berman was running Star Trek. Fuck all y'all.
Yes, but in that era, there was a lot more interaction and work with Majel and the family and people who knew
Yeah.
how Roddenberry was, versus what time they started doing all the reboots and the new shows and stuff. She was very old. She was barely involved, and you can see it. Whether or not people think she was brilliant or not, whether or not people have a problem with some of the stuff she did or not, and let's face it, she was nuts. So was Gene. You get a guy because you're having an affair with him, and you fight with your co-stars because they're also having an affair with him.
Yeah.
You get what you get what you get. You know what you're getting, and to that, at least she never went after him for his affairs. And what his son said was the first time Dad cheated on Mom was during their honeymoon. So, yeah. So you know what you're getting in that situation. But Gene was a shameless plagiarizer, and he tried to not give credit to the people he took from. And you got to acknowledge that issue too, also with it, even as a Trek fan. And
Meanwhile,
me, a Trek fan, I adore what he did, but there's a lot of stuff in sci-fi literature direct names of organizations, stuff like that, that was written between 40 and 60 that he used in the original series and in the Star Trek
Golden
universe.
age of sci-fi.
Yeah. Well,
He stole the United Federation of Planets, the Keep Earth Human League, all that stuff was actually out of Henline Star Beast.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Talking about like ideas,
Damn.
I need to tell the story. So Rod Serling, the creator of the Twilight Zone, all right, he was at a party, and a woman walked up to him and said, "What if astronauts landed on what they thought was Mars, and it was actually Earth?" And and once she said that, he literally took $400 from his wallet, handed it to her, and that became the episode "I Shot an Arrow into the Air." And yes, she got credit.
Oh, nice.
Just goes to show that the man who ran the Twilight Zone, not only was he a good man, but he was smart. It's why I have the entire collection.
Yeah, I love Rod Serling so much.
But like to get to the fandom part though, like the creators need the audience more than the audience needs the creators,
and they're starting to realize that. They're starting to realize that.
The whole fan thing to me is just weird because, like, there are things I like, and then there are things I stop liking, and I stop paying. Like, rather than getting like the Raylo people or like the Chicken Misery where she takes the cinder block or the 2 blocks of wood and a sledgehammer because the main character died and she didn't like the way the book was written or whatever. Like, that's clearly a violent sociopath. That has nothing to do with whether or not I am a fan or somebody who enjoys a product. And when you mix those two together, you conflate the violent, the whatever they're called, the stands or whatever with actual people that just like something. You're basically homogenizing 2 markets that don't coexist.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing. Is that people will fan over and stand over almost anything. And I have examples of this in the few years I've been online. I have gotten creepy stalker messages. I have gotten massive several $100 gifts show up my mailbox with flirty letters. And I've gotten messages from guys telling me what they want to do with me sexually and asking for information on my husband.
Jesus.
I mean, for crap's sakes, I am a frumpy middle-aged woman in the middle of nowhere. I have a small following, and I still get these creeps. So it brings you to mind how easy it is for people to get obsessed, especially in a society where it's instant gratification.
Well, that's not the same as. Oh, sorry.
One of the things that I think is these corporations, they thought like, oh, we can just bring in the normies, make it trendy to like it. And sure, yeah, it worked for a little bit. But here's the thing about bringing in normies. It's transitory. They go in because it's trendy. It's trendy to like Star Wars.
Geek chic, as they call it.
What's the latest thing? What's the newest?
Yeah, but the problem is once that's gone, they are gone. Whereas,
they don't buy the toys.
Whereas literally Star Trek has been kept alive for 50 years because of its fans. Fans will stick by you to the bitter end. As fans are some of the most loyal people you could ever have. Like, look at Firefly fans. They're still passionate to this day, and I guarantee you, if they announce a Firefly animated series, people, Firefly fans would show up for it. They campaign to support it. But you make things normal. You make things like, you basically have a 40-year-old wine mom who 30 years ago she teased little Timmy for liking Star Wars. Now she's like, oh, Star Wars is the greatest thing ever. I've always been a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy.
I'm a hardcore gamer. I played Mario 30 years ago.
And there's also, because of those women, there is also more actually people that are trying to gatekeep and criticize women in gaming and geekdom than there were when I was a kid.
And that's a real tragedy because and I'm gonna pull a no true Scotsman here, but any true gaming fan knows that women are gamers as well. I can't count how many World of Warcraft guilds I've been a part of where there's been tons of women in that guild and they pulled the same DPS, they pulled good DPS. I
never saw the attitude of we don't want a woman in the group or are you a real fan and trying to make her prove her fandom. when I was growing up or in college and stuff. It was every time I showed up to one of the groups, it was woman. There's a woman in the group. There's a woman in the group. There's a woman in the group. Hey, here's a seat for you.
Well,
it was
no,
instant. Hey, yay! There's a woman here to hang out with us and who likes this stuff too. It was gratitude that I was there.
Well,
Whereas now I start talking about loving something, they're like, prove it. It's like,
well, here's the reason
seriously?
why we're seeing that.
Okay, one at a time, people.
Here's
One
the
at a
reason
time.
that-
One at a time.
Okay.
Chris, go ahead, and then Shiro.
Sorry. Yeah. So here's the reason why we're seeing some of that backlash now, is because women introduced me to role-playing games. Okay. The only reason why I'm into role-playing games is because Librarian actually hooked me up with this stuff. She was super supportive, and I had a blast doing that. But from my experience from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 10s, 20s, whatever, there are women who I referred to them back in the day as minion collectors, who infiltrate these groups and cause strife by collecting, because like you're saying, it's predominantly a male space. There's majority men there. So when there is a woman present, they're all like, a lot of the guys are like, oh, this is awesome. We got a girl here, blah, 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 and all of a sudden when you get those one or two bad eggs that get in there and they start dance my puppets and they start causing strife, it destroys that group of friends or that whatever. And a lot of guys have become bitter and jaded when they see their friends or their groups of friends or their hobbies infiltrated by these like there was a video I saw called like From the Kitchen to the Controller, and sure, it's entirely misogynistic, but it does bring up points where it's like that is a genuine backlash. Like there is a general reaction to that. Unfortunately, these same guys, because they've been, it's like the dog that's been beaten, like they equate all women like that when it was a very small few who come in and ruin things. Because
I've seen
women in general
things.
and it sucks because it ruins it for everybody. But ultimately, like, it's not so much a fandom thing as it is a group of friends thing. And we're conflating those two things now.
Go ahead with the other guy. Yeah, there's another guy, but I actually do have a response to that one, and both things I've witnessed and seen. So
yeah, it's like I can actually back up what Chris is saying, because I've seen this happen so many times, like both the good and the bad. Like I used to play a lot of D&D at like game stores and whatnot, and like a woman would come up and want to play, be like, hey, yeah, grab some dice or whatever. And then I've also seen a woman come in like I don't know how many times. Like I've been like in a guild chat on like a Discord server, and like me and another guy are talking, and then the woman logs on and he's like, hey, and it just instantaneously the conversation revolves around her. Like I've seen it happen so many fucking times where it's like, yeah, me and this guy are having a great conversation. All of a sudden he's here, and all of a sudden everyone just directs their attention at her. The conversation comes all about her.
The minions.
Like,
yep.
Yeah, and it's not hard to get jaded. I mean, I've been lucky that I've met a lot of just genuine female gamers, and that's kind of helped balance the scales a little bit, but not everyone is that fortunate.
Here's the other thing also, because a lot of this came with the whole, as she's saying in chat, the female streamers, the e-thoughts and those, but there was an issue of this before where it came about with some of the feminist pushes in the early 2000s where the women didn't have to do anything in these circles. The men who were pushing back, and there's actually a very, very sexist pushback group too that goes beyond the red pill to absolutely misogynistic.
Yeah, it's an overreaction. It's an overreaction.
Well, feminism was an overreaction. So what they're doing is they're overreacting to an overreaction to an overreaction. It's just an instant cycle. There's neither side's innocent and neither side's guilty. And that's the problem. You're never going to fix it as long as they say, well, this person did this, that's why we have to do this. It's like, but they did that because there was this breach for a long time. And that's where I think the break comes into a lot of this, is because these girls have been so hammered. Look, I remember teenage years in the 90s, and the whole girl power stuff was everywhere. You're being told everywhere you were always a victim. This is the first time we've had any say in society, all this stuff. I mean, it was being drilled into female heads everywhere we went in the 90s. And so you see these girls now, and you have to remember there is a level of brainwashing and propaganda where most people have trouble differentiating between that and seeing through the bullshit.
I mean,
so they're not malicious usually. They're just confused and misguided.
And the thing is, the
No, there's
messaging from
some
the 90s,
narcissists.
it's just such a
No,
topic.
I'm not talking about the creeps, because there's creeps on both sides. There's extremists on both sides.
What's
The
hilarious
majority of these people are on both sides. They have their reactions because of what they've witnessed and because of what's been propagated to them.
And Eagle, what's ironic is the whole messaging from the 90s about like, oh, this is only the first time that women have had power. Bullshit! Women have had power since the dawn of time.
They
Like,
ruled Rome.
I mean, honestly, even if you want to go back to the Old West and have that historical perspective, even back then when women were at their most oppressed, you had something in the West that was called brothel power in like the old West, where, you know, everybody thought women were waifly, went into the home. A lot of the women in these brothels, they controlled the government politics. The government
they did.
I mean, all it
that
takes is
actually,
you
I
sleep
will-
with the mayor and you give him a good shagging pillow talk. You say, hey, could you maybe do this instead of the other thing? Oh, they're really receptive after that.
Well, that whole manipulation of men that way goes back biblical times and King Herod and all that.
As a Jew, I can
It's been there a long time. But what my response
literally
to
the first temptation, Eve.
Yeah.
But my response to what he said is no. Actually, I would argue that the Old West is nowhere near the worst oppressive point history's had to women. In this country, yes. Historically, not by long shot.
Well, I'm not arguing like
yeah.
in the dawn of history of man. I'm just talking at least
in modern history, basically. But even in modern history, I would still say a lot of the Middle East is worse. I would still say a lot of the Middle East is worse than the Old West ever was.
Oh, absolutely.
Have you ever seen a polygamous?
One at a time, guys. One at a time.
But can I finish what I was saying here real quick?
Yeah.
But my point on that is, but yes, what we have right now is two sides who both have legitimate issues with the male and the female stuff. And you have a culture that's been heavily, honestly, influenced by the embedding from the progressive movement in the 1800s, which literally intentionally created a way to divide people and turn them on each other. Mm-hmm. And so both sides are being fed really ridiculous propaganda about how evil the other gender is. And the fact is, neither is true. Mm-hmm. And so you have both sides becoming the very stereotypes that the other side's afraid of in reaction to being told that the other side is the stereotype that you're afraid of.
Look at the rise of Andrew
Oh,
Tate.
fuck that fucker.
God.
Anyways, fuck that fucking fucker. I hate that.
Eagle, I agree with you. He is fucking trash. But what I'm saying is, Andrew Tate is basically just a result of the man hating that has been going on. You know what? Yeah. Like whether it was Jordan Peterson before him. At least Jordan Peterson was actually trying to do positive stuff. But like people, like young men need guidance. The thing that young men are lacking so much is male guidance, and that's what Andrew Tate is providing.
But when you have somebody going on videos going, if your woman accuses you of cheating, and he's got videos telling them to cheat on the women. If your woman accuses you of cheating, choke the bitch, and he's giving him directions on how to strangle her.
Yeah,
and that's hate.
Eagle.
It's a
I'm
reaction.
not arguing he's a bad person.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
The point is, you guys keep saying it's a reaction. You got to remember, feminism was a reaction to a very oppressive system to women that was there, where we didn't have
CIA, but it was feminism was created because after World War II, they saw another taxable demographic and said, wait, girl power.
Feminism was created in the late 1800s.
If you're talking about the suffragettes.
No, suffragettes were not feminists, and there were feminists
Seneca Falls Convention.
The suffragettes and the early feminists hated each other, and the early feminists absolutely hated men with a passion. I mean, they're almost worse than the shit you have now if you read the writing of the early feminist leaders. But the suffragettes hated them. The suffragettes.
The other thing to note is the early thing to note is I'm trying to get a word in here.
I was halfway through the sentence when you started doing that, though.
Go ahead.
The suffragettes literally wrote and spoke publicly, repeatedly on the fact that we are not feminists. We do not stand with them. This is where I feel like I have to say this anytime this topic's brought up, and why it was annoying that's when you started cutting me off repeatedly, because that's important to note. They hated them. They are not represented by them. And that's
another thing to note
where
is
it's
the
important.
temperance movement of the time. Is a lot of the feminists of the time were also part of the temperance movement.
Yes.
You know what the greatest contribution to female equality is? Modern
Birth control?
technology. No, modern
control?
technology. So birth control, computers, civilization as we know it in modernity. Because when the lights go out, feminism disappears. Hate to say it, but yeah, there's a reason why like all this misogynist like all roles and gender roles, like those didn't exist because guys were just assholes. That was a survival mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, just we see parts of this, like look at like every winter, you see all the women hitting up the dating sites, being like, "Oh, I need a man to warm me up."
You guys are
whatever,
talking about this, and I'm trying to get perspective here because it's not just that I'm female; it's that I am very much anti the feminist movement. I also am a survivor. I also am an ex-feminist, so I actually understand both sides of this really well.
I appreciate
From the
that. I'm just trying to
perspective.
create a balanced discussion.
I know. So that's why I'm trying to correct a couple things here. When you guys say, well, it's a reaction to this because this was this. It's like, well, that's not exactly what that was.
That's fair. It's just ego.
So-
We need to have some other people a chance to speak. I appreciate your input.
I get that. What I was just saying is the reason it's important is because it's all reactionary. That's the problem. It's just a swinging pendulum back and forth, and we're not getting anywhere in society in the middle ground where we need to be. Which was the point I kept trying to make.
I definitely agree.
No.
with that because it's-
I want to hear the
I
other
don't
lady.
agree with the pendulum swinging metaphor.
Guys.
Mhm.
I want to hear the other lady on this panel's perspective. Nix, what are your thoughts?
Could I get like a refresher on what this topic's about?
Okay, fair enough.
I
Sorry.
think the original subject probably got lost.
The original
Yeah.
subject was talking about the whole gatekeeping versus legitimacy and the issue of fake female fans versus real fans and the crap treatment some real get now because of the reaction to the fake.
Yeah.
And basically what I was trying to point out is it's pendulum swing that keeps happening because as they said, there's a reaction now because of how many women have infiltrated and been abusive to these communities. But the women that were doing that was this pendulum swing because they were being taught hardcore that they were being kept out and they weren't wanted. And so it's a double-sided blade was the point I was making.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, pendulum swings are always tricky because, we always think, oh, it's gonna pendulum swing back to the middle. No, it just like makes it hard.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, TC, you made it. Cool. Hey, brother.
And I wasn't trying to ramble. It's just when I get interrupted, I have to restart because my brain can't keep memory that way because of my nerve damage. So that's why I kept going back because I have to every time somebody started talking on me when I didn't quite finish. So I'm sorry if that took so long. That's something I can't follow if that happens. So I have to go backwards.
You're still awesome. It's all good. I'm not mad. I'm not upset or anything. I'm just trying to keep things kind of flowing, let everyone kind of get a chance to speak.
I know. I'm just letting them know. Just I want input when I add something. Just let me finish that last sentence so I don't get lost. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Just
you.
one thing I wanted
one
to
at
add,
a time, people. That's all I ask. One at a time.
Gotcha. Well, one thing I wanted to add to that though wasn't so much about the concepts of female hypoagency, so much as bad actors like to hide behind identities. Like
Yes.
women we're being oppressed because we're women. No, you're being oppressed because you're a narcissistic sociopath that's sowing discord in every group that you join. Or I'm oppressed because I'm an ethnic minority. No, we don't care about your race. You're just a jerk. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I see that all the time. As a Jew, I got to air my grievance on this. Okay, as a Jewish person, there are Bolsheviks out there that piss me off because they intentionally do bad actor things, like Seth Rogen, Sarah Silverman picking fights with Christians, making Christmas elf things on Netflix that's in really bad spirits, and then when they get the righteous indignation thrown back at them, they suddenly run and hide behind me and other Jews going, anti-Semitism. No, they don't hate Jews. They hate you.
Just flip that to native, and that's the exact same way I feel about fucking Lakota man. I hate him.
Yeah. I see
you
that
mean
all the time.
the Covington guy, the guy in the company who did the Covington kid thing?
The guy who literally runs under the handle of Lakota Man, he's got like 50,000 followers and runs around saying racist, stupid shit, claiming he speaks for the tribe when he says everything against our actual beliefs.
Yeah.
I fucking hate him.
But do you know what I'm talking about though? Like the whole Covington thing, where it's like the kid had the MAGA hat on, and like the Native American was like being
that story was not what either side portrayed it as. I watched all of the footage uncensored, and that guy does have a bad history, but he was doing an actual protest that he filed papers on, and they did get in his face assuming the drum was war drum when it was actually one for a prayer drum. So both sides had fault in that.
Well, the kid was just demonized. He just sat there.
The kid was demonized, but you know what? The kid should have backed off when he first said, "I'm just trying to do prayers. Can you leave me alone?" Which he did say at the beginning.
And you know, if the media had actually called that, they could have actually had some legitimate grievances against him if they had actually like called it as it was. The problem is they went after him so bad they easily lost the lawsuit.
Well, there was the Black Israelites that were in there that were causing all the crap.
God, don't even start me on those fuckers. Don't even start me on those
trust me, agitators.
That is a supremacy group.
Yep.
Yeah, aren't they just basically just agitators?
So,
yeah, they are.
What's up, Nix?
I was gonna say about the gatekeeping thing against women.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I've basically been a gamer since I was old enough to hold a controller.
Nice.
You can thank my older brother for that, and I can't really say he's my grandfather, but my grandmother's second husband, who also had something of a love for gaming. And honestly, outside of the super liberal, we don't want you here because you advocate for over-sexualization of women and blah, 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 blah. I have never actually felt like I wasn't wanted as a gamer, as an anime enthusiast, as any kind of geek, really.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that I've met in those circles has been, extremely welcoming. So I don't really think it's a problem with most of those circles. It's just the few bad actors who, either through bad experiences or because they're genuine assholes, are saying, no, we don't want you here. Because
and
if you have a real passion for it, then, people are usually super welcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's all people ask for. It's like, hey, do you like this thing? Oh, I too like this thing. Oh, cool. Let's enjoy this thing together.
Yeah, and generally, the way I see it is most groups are of the mindset of the more the merrier.
Mm-hmm.
You come into the hobby, you participate in it, you don't rock the boat to the point that it capsizes. We're all good. A lot of the times, the bad actors have a particular habit. They have two particular habits I've kind of noticed. Either they will, one, wear a mask of a minority group to bash people that they don't like out of the group, or they will put a mask onto the person that they don't like to bash them. And
when you can no longer control someone, you try to control how others see them. That's the narcissist way.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like I've actually had that happen to me a couple of times where I've joined a group and for lack of a better term, the queen bee of the group didn't like me.
Ooh.
And she knew I was German. I'm half German through my father.
It's verboten.
And so the very first thing that came out of her mouth was, "You damn Nazi sympathizer, you racist, homophobe, blah, 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 you murderer, you genocidal maniac." I'm like,
what?
Whoa.
Where'd that come from?
Here to enjoy a hobby.
This is a point where you pull out my grandmother died in the Holocaust, you bitch.
Oh, see, I'm also a quarter Polish, so I could just say, yeah, my grandfather was killed trying to kill my grandfather. I'm sorry, you have no argument here.
Yeah, like that is the ultimate shut the fuck up moment right there.
Look, I mean,
legit.
my family's mixed. I tell as my sister's ex always pointed out, he's both the cowboy and the Indian, so he can scalp himself. I mean, sorry.
I love gallows humor.
But it's
Gallows
like
humor is
seriously,
the best thing.
when you're mixed, you have both. Often you have the races are on both sides of those battles because often the families come together during the culture's rebuilding after that. So it's usually the races that are most at odds with each other that you end up mixed with. That's statistically most often. So mixed kids, we grew up in households where gallus humor, racial humor, jokes about culture and race are commonplaces, a way for us to learn to interact with each other. The jokes my mom and dad made at each other, between him calling her everything from Casper to Snowflake and stuff as being the white girl, and her calling him things like Chief and Teepee Creeper and stuff, and they dubbed me their pale skinned scalp collecting Teepee Creeper when I was a teenager. I mean
look at history. Even the slave owners couldn't resist that black booty.
I'm an example of that because I'm also part black.
Oh, there you go.
So,
well, hey,
I have all of the mix. Come at me.
Well, try having your family say that it's a shame that you're not full Korean, because then you could have been a good artist.
Ooh.
Oh. I can empathize with that kind of comment.
One more thing.
Also, I got to read Maddie's comment. I am Latina and white. I write half write checks to my ethnicity that balances like rubber balls. Damn, Maddie! God damn!
Okay.
Just one more. How's this one for you? Try going to Hebrew school and having your name be Christ bearer.
Ooh, that'd be a hard one. Oh,
yeah. So fun stuff. Like hated each other.
One of my favorite things to do when I get on streams that I haven't been on is to do this few second little song, because it came from a comedy duo, Williams and Ree, otherwise known as the Indian and the white guy. Ree is from my tribe. And they'll sit there and they'll tell jokes like, what's a 7-course meal on the reservation? A 6-pack and a puppy.
Ow.
And so people start getting all offended and PC, and I'll just sit there and go, how much is that doggy in the window? I'm really quite hungry, you see. Is that a Pomeranian or a pit bull? A real Indian delicacy. Yum, yum. And about time I do that, the whole panel will be stopped, and they'll all be sitting there looking at me going, it's like, and that joke came from my tribe, so stuff it.
Exactly.
Yeah, Maddie. My Christian background is like a mixture of Baptist and Pentecostal, so yeah, I totally get you.
I think the funniest thing that I've had lobbed against me from different communities, just recently with the whole sexualization thing that the one guy made about how he'd have paid $90 for the Fable chick to look more like I don't remember what the game.
V from Lack of Entertainment.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
And I jumped in on the conversation because, like, it's stupid. Yeah, I do want to see more attractive women in video games because it's a fantasy. It doesn't need to be realistic.
All right, okay, let's make this a topic because I think this needs to be discussed. Like we've been seeing this trend of uglification in video games. Like we're talking about the Fable trailer. The guy looked normal because like that's the guy from my key crowd.
Oh,
he looked normal.
Richard Ayoade.
Yeah, like he looked relatively normal. But that woman, like if you look at the reference model, she's gorgeous. Like she's a gorgeous woman. But if you look at like the model, it's like if I were her and I saw that, I'd be like, take my name off this property.
How dare you?
I'd be deeply offended.
There.
Yeah.
This is the thing. They always say, well, what about representation? What about representation? It's like, well, first of all, we women who have really massive chests and asses exist in nature. We deserve representation too. That doesn't. Every time they say sex toy or male gaze or unrealistic or abominations and stuff like that, it's like you realize there are women actually with those bodies, and you're treating them like they're objects for a body they developed naturally. First of all,
exactly.
Second of all, what about our big boob representation? What about us saying, you know what? I want somebody who's like the best parts of me combined with something better than me. I want a woman who take my best features and make them sexier and make them prettier, make them hotter. If I want to be represented, I want to be represented as the best that I can be. I want to be represented like I looked like when I was in wrestling in my 20s.
Also, sorry, go ahead.
I want to be hot representation. Come on.
Hot. You are
Well,
hot.
Damn right.
My thing is I don't care about, like, I don't want to be represented. How many fat half Jewish Korean guys need to be in, like, nobody wants to see that
Also,
shit. Like,
it's statistically proven that when you have a character creator feature, most dudes play as hot chicks.
yeah, because it's
I'm
what you want
doing
to look
a
at.
Because they want to look at the hot chick while they're
Yep.
playing.
Exactly.
Hey, that's what happened when I started. Let's see,
Well,
Elden
my
Ring,
current run through
Genshin
Cyberpunk,
Impact.
What are we going to do for representation? Where the hell am I going to find some busty, loudmouthed, albino, redheaded native chick on anything? Please, somebody
create-
tell me.
Create the
Well, like,
characters.
I have
we're
to insert
all-
this, but this is the exact reason as to why Japanese games are just making bank now, while all of the American game companies are just losing millions of dollars every time they make a game.
Because they're more
Legit.
obsessed with representation than they are about what customers actually want to look at. Okay, for example, Pixar. You guys remember Wall-E? Wall-E was an
absolutely.
animated trash can. Okay, last I checked, nobody is an animated trash can. Okay,
Last time I
And
checked,
we
Wally
identified
looked like a
with him.
short, fat version of Johnny Five from Short Circuit. Anyway,
yeah, but we all identified.
Hey,
with it and
laser
enjoyed the
lips.
story.
Your mother was a snowblower.
Oh,
thank
okay.
you.
But like
I
the
had
point
to.
is like you didn't have to see like it's a narcissistic impulse to be like, I need to see myself in my media, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, dude, I'm watching freaking 3D animated Smurf. I grew up with the Snorks and the Smurfs and the Gummy Bears. That wasn't me.
Completely. If you want to find somebody who looks like you and find a story about your culture, I guarantee you look far enough, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
I never
guys,
wanted them to
yourself.
shove my culture into African stories or European
Yeah.
stories because that's not my culture.
You want to
Exactly.
see what my character in Cyberpunk looks like?
Oh yeah.
Go for it, dude.
This
Yeah.
This is Ginny.
Nice.
Like literally, it's like, come on. I'm like living proof of like guys just want to play hot chick.
Well, like, you
Why
gotta
does she
see
look so
something,
much
you know?
like me?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
She actually kind of does. Look at her.
Uh,
No comment.
Nick, I think you might have let too much slip there, buddy.
Actually, her face looks a lot like mine. Holy crap.
You've got some fan fiction now.
But like I was gonna say earlier too, I had one guy trying to claim that I was sexist. No, asshole, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
well, a bunch of the people that you're fighting beside are incel neckbeards. I'm like, no, that's just you making a fucking assumption. Shut your ass up. Literally,
PC, that's my
dozens of people. Literally, dozens of people were like, well, no, this has nothing to do with like wanting to jerk off to her. We just want someone who's mildly
Yeah, well, there's a reason why it's called a
mildly attractive.
you.
We just want the aesthetics. We want it to
look
look
like
nice.
Art.
Like look
And
what they do with
women,
Horizon.
more often than not, are very pretty to look at.
Look,
So
in
we
most
appreciate the art.
in most species, the male are the more pretty. But in the human species, female bodies are lent easier to artistic use than male are. They just fucking are.
Like, why do you
Yeah.
think? Why do you think
The
like
fairer sex.
95% of all art made throughout history depicts women?
Yeah.
You know, like this. Come on, this is hot.
I mean, that she's not bad. She was just drawn that way.
Well, actually, she's part that character. If you actually look at her, she's actually a mashup. It's Morticia Adams and Jessica Rabbit together.
Nice.
Oh,
I
I'm
knew
in trouble.
Jessica
I'm
Rabbit
in
was
trouble.
half of that. I was trying to piece the other half. So thank you.
Those
for,
were two of my icons growing up. I love Jessica Rabbit because she's a busty redhead who actually had a heart of gold, even though she was mouthy. And Morticia Adams, as gothic and twisted as she was, one of the most kind and generous people you'd ever see. So to me, and their relationship, their marriage was an absolutely beautiful representation of true love.
Yeah.
My
Peak
favorite.
marriage.
Absolutely.
So I got to say this though. My favorite moment from the Addams Family duology is ruining our lives. I can forgive, even respect that, but pastels, that I cannot forgive. I love that line. I love it.
See, I am such an originalist with Addams Family. I love the original show because it
For me,
had
it's
a
a
lot
movie.
more of the charity and the heart than they had in the movies. Don't get me wrong, the movies were not bad, but the charity side of the family and the really loving side of the family wasn't as well done in the movies as it was the show.
Yeah.
And that's the part I loved, was that duality, showing how kind and beautiful and generous Gothic people can be.
Well, I think that's kind of a problem I wanted to touch on here, at least for a second, is the problem of remakes, which is it's basically kind of like the photocopier effect.
Mhm.
Yeah, you get that nostalgic twinge of, oh, something that I loved as a kid is, now back in my face as something new. But because it is a photocopy of what the original was, you lose a little bit of the quality in there. It's not to say that it is wholly bad, at least on the first run, but over time, each copy loses a little bit more of the heart of the original.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there are occasions, there are rare occasions, I would say, that I like the sequels more than the original. I would say that with Brendan Fraser's Mummy over the old Mummy for me.
Shout out to the Battlestar
But-
Galactica reboot. I don't.
but-
care.
Oh yeah.
That is like,
But
also
99,
the Resident
98,
Evil
99% of the
remakes are
time, 98, 99% of the time, the original's the best. There
good. I
are
gotta give a shout out to Capcom.
Yeah.
The Resident Evil 2 and not 3 and 4 remakes are amazing.
Hell
Oh, yeah, those are really good.
But I just had to give that credit because there are some places where the remakes really are awesome. Look, at technically animated or not, they already did do a Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, which was actually kind of cheesy and crappy.
Mm.
I think we can all agree Lord of the Rings was better when he redid it in the 2000 era.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah,
Peter Jackson
absolutely.
trilogy is the gold standard that everyone compares.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
I guess Nick's kind of dropped out, but yeah, the Peter Jackson trilogy is the gold standard.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. It shows because if you have the extended editions and you watch how much work and how much effort and honestly how much suffering went on behind the scenes to make it work, it was kind of a miracle that those three movies came out in the quality that they did.
I mean,
Now-
they're a true testament to passion. Because,
Exactly.
This is the nerd side of me speaking, and the person who understands Tolkien's spiritualism that he had in the books. There were still things I would have tweaked and changed. There were still times I watched it and went, actually, this would have been better if you did this part and you didn't leave this part out. But generally, it was one of the best true to book representations I've seen of anything.
Yeah.
And if you're a hardcore fan, of books, every representation is going to leave you flat in some places.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a matter of the medium, that one medium, you can transfer one medium to another, but it will never be the same. It'll never have the same impact.
Yeah, like look at how long it took them to finally do a proper Dune adaptation.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
actually, Dune's one of those, I'm so hardcore on the books that I can't fully get behind any of the movies and shows and stuff I've seen. None of them quite hit it for me. But I'm a book nerd. That's
Have
my
you seen
nerd.
Dune Part 1?
Yeah.
I have not. I've seen parts of it. I have not had a chance to sit down and watch all of it yet.
Oh,
I
love
do
that new
encourage
one.
Dune. I do encourage you to watch Dune Part 1. Dune Part 2 is actually coming out later this year right now.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gonna
And
get scary.
I feel like Dune, because they split the book into two parts, and each one is like 3 hours. They're essentially doing a 6-hour movie.
Mhm.
I feel like it gives like the proper time to let the story breathe. Because that was a problem with David Finch's version, was he tried to cram all that stuff into a 2.5-hour movie, and he did his best, but it just couldn't work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and another thing I'd love to bring up is that the Tolkien fandom, everybody who reads the Legendarium, they're probably one of the best examples of a fandom not being toxic. Like
Well,
when you see
nowadays they are, but
Well, that's because Amazon told us they are.
Yeah, it's because they told us they are, and everybody in the Tolkien fandom is upset at Amazon because Amazon screwed with the lore.
Yep.
Yes.
Really, really bad.
Shockingly.
Okay. All right. I need to give you guys like an example of just how badly they screwed it. Okay? I'm literally getting my copies of the books from my shelf.
Oh, goody! I'm getting ready to start spazzing out and tweaking because I've already done multiple panels on this because I am a hardcore Lord of the Rings girl, so
You're gonna put the novel.
All
in
right.
a blender?
Oh, one
this
side
part-
note before you do
So
that.
this is a
Actually,
box set.
one side note. Nick, one side note before you do that. A little clue, because you guys know how much poverty I came out of, right? My mother, when we were going through all this, her brothers got her the one special gift to make up for what we were going through in poverty that she still clings to now, that I would give almost anything to find another copy of. It is the hardbound 50th anniversary Hobbit plated in gold in the entire thing.
Holy shit!
Gold plated.
Yeah.
Woo.
I want that damn book. I want that book.
I got these. So I got these for Christmas, like a long ass time ago. And, yeah. So this is the entire like Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. All right?
Mhm.
This is how much they are adapting from Rings of Power. Literally.
Wow.
Okay. This is Return of the King. I'm sure like they literally went to the appendices. It's probably even less than this. But just to give you a visual representation, this is how much they're adapting out of.
And they're not even doing that right. And the thing is that
all
they dipped
this.
into Silmarillion enough to steal a couple names of characters and then completely fuck them up, which really pisses
Yeah,
me
they
off.
didn't even have the right to the Silmarillion. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took names that were not fully copywritten because of when it came out and all the stuff with it, and because there were complications because he wasn't finished with it when he died. His son finished it for him.
Well,
Because it was all his continuity notes being tried to write into a book. And they took stuff out of that by name that weren't copywritten and threw them into the other and completely changed them.
Well,
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see Shadow of Mordor, the video game series?
I heard that
Yeah.
was
The
really good.
first game, and when I saw the second game came out, I knew that it was such bad fan fiction that I couldn't even play the second game.
All I know is that didn't do half the damage that.
Or
Lands-
like,
No.
you want to talk, like you guys hear the trash fire that is Gollum?
Oh my god, that was
God.
hilarious!
I watched the Long Boys play Gollum, and my god, was that an exercise in suffering.
See, I don't game much because of my nerve issues. So the games I do are basically strategy-based single-player stuff only. Because I can't control my spasms and shakes. So at times I'm going to spasm, tick, twitch. It's going to fuck up the game for not just me, but the other players, you know?
Yeah, that's understandable.
So I just play these single players. But even then, sometimes they release one that's supposed to be based on this book or these things I love. And I start to play it and it's like, you shot my childhood, you fucking monsters. You're sodomizing it.
About that, like, so I'm a wheel time fan, all right?
Oh god.
Like, I am a, like,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. And I tried watching the series, and literally in the first 30 seconds, they completely shattered the lore. But like, I tried watching it, and I got like maybe a third or half the episode in. Like, as soon as I saw that they had given Perrin a wife, I was like, no, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Fuck
Because
this shit, I'm out.
Because here's how much it's like, for anyone who knows Wheel of Time, Perrin gets a wife named Fail, who is amazing. She's an amazing person, amazing character. But she doesn't come along till around book 4-ish. So the fact that Perrin already has a wife, that tells me A, she's gonna get killed, which is probably the most likely scenario.
Yeah.
Or B, he's gonna be the character we see. Also, like, and there's so many other fucking things, like making Egwene a Tyverian. Like, seriously, that woman did not need any more ego stroking. I'm sorry.
Did you see The Witcher, dude?
Oh, don't get me fucking started.
Oh, yeah.
Don't
no.
get me fucking started.
Because he was so upset about what they
I
were
saw
doing.
season 1. That was enough.
Yeah.
Cavill was the biggest fan of the series on that show.
And he was problematic because he actually wanted to adhere to the source material.
And the thing
And
is, they were
instead they
bragging
pushed
about it.
feminine-
They're using it as a
Bastard.
marketing point in season 2 when they're going to see, like, oh, he's such a Bible on set. He's like, they're talking, like, joking about it. going into season 2, and
Yeah.
now all of a sudden it's a problem.
No, well, what it is they basically turned the first couple of books first couple of stories, because the first book of The Witcher was actually like several stories.
The first 2 books are short stories.
Yeah, and they basically turned it into like feminist Harry Potter and Wakanda, and it was like it had nothing to do with like Polish folklore. Like that was why people watched that. You know, I went to see a Straga.
The Witcher was basically supposed to be kind of like a Polish Lord of the Rings, where it covered a lot of the Polish-specific folklore.
Yep.
I mean, I think someone's I don't remember who said this, but like they said, the only reason Henry Cavill gets as much screen time as he does is because it's called The Witcher. Because if it wasn't called The Witcher, the series would literally be all about Yennefer. It is so clear that the showrunners want to make this a Yennefer show, but they can't. Like, they feel obligated to include Geralt. He almost seems like an afterthought so much.
Well, they changed all of the female characters in the Witcher stories, too. Like, they made the queen of, I can't remember, Ciri's mom
Queen
there?
Calanthe?
Yeah, Calanthe made her this, like, soldier. And it was like, that's not even like Geralt literally saves her ass because she's not a soldier.
Also,
it's the same thing that they did with Rings of Power to Galadriel. It's the same thing they did in Rings of Power to Galadriel. They took a gorgeous, stunning, wise with queen and turned her into some whiny, bitchy, fighting feminist.
Yeah, like a toxic male character.
Galadriel is literally a character where, like, you go up to petition her, you disagree with her, and then you meet her. She takes one look at you and you're like, actually, no, I agree with you. Like, literally, just her presence is enough to turn armies in her favor.
Yeah. Well,
she is
Galadriel
supposed to be.
Go ahead.
She's supposed to be this perfect representation of wisdom and beauty and grace and the maternal beauty of women. Mm-hmm. And they turned her into this feminist who was anti-femininity.
Yeah.
And they completely destroyed what she was.
Yeah, and not only that, she was kind of the best model of the strong woman that, you know, everybody clamors for. And they're like, oh no, this is not the strong woman that we were hoping to have. We're going to have to make her fight monsters. Yeah. Galadriel didn't have to fight monsters to be one of the most powerful beings in Middle Earth.
Let's be honest. They had the perfect plot for Rings of Power, staring them straight in the face. The show should have been about Isildur, and it should have been about like him saying, oh, Mordor is coming. And like everyone doesn't listen to him, then he has to gather the forces, and the series ends with that battle. Like literally, that's a perfect story you have right there.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I was going to see a story that's supposed to come before Lord of the Rings and stuff, I would want to see somebody actually take the time, pay the money, get rights to the Silmarillion, and actually try to make each of the characters true to story and start working them into the Lord of the Rings area where they're supposed to be.
Also, don't even get me started on what they did to my boy Gil-galad.
Oh my god! What the hell was that? He looked like a guy from a soap opera, like a middle-aged, like, I thought elves were timeless. This guy was like old and out of shape.
They're supposed to be extremely tall, extremely fair, and even in the Noldor, where they were all like raven-haired, it's still considered extremely beautiful. And Gil-galad was supposed to be considered amongst the most beautiful of the elves.
They were supposed to be beautiful and ethereal, and that's actually where their arrogance came from in the books.
Yep.
They thought themselves above the other species because of how beautiful and wonderful we are.
See, Maddie pointed out the other
they were considered to be directly descended from Eru Ilúvatar.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Maddie pointed out the other kind of fucked up thing is like they only did this because Christopher Tolkien died.
Yeah, they waited for him to
die. They got the rights years before he died, and he gave them all kinds of regulations they had to follow in order to do this. They had to stay true to these characters. They had to stay true to these characters. They had to do this. They had to do this. They waited to a few days after he died and then announced they were going to do the show and got his children to freaking screw it all up.
Well, they fired the historians. Oh, sorry.
Yes, and the thing that bothers me about it, I will admit, I have had my differences with Christopher Tolkien and some of the things he's done in his dad's name. I think he cared about the lore of the stories, and I think he tried to keep true to Lord of the Rings and Hobbit and the story work he did for him. but he never got his dad's spiritualism, and he lost it a lot in a lot of things. And he did things like allow tarot cards for it and stuff, which absolutely would have offended his father.
Oh, yeah.
But I think his heart was in the right place, even if he made mistakes.
Christopher Tolkien, for all of his flaws, truly loved his father, and none of Tolkien's children loved his work quite like Christopher Tolkien did.
But
That's
they
what I
sure
said.
love the
I
money.
think he loved
They
it.
sure
I
love
think
the
he
money.
loved the story. I think he loved the lessons and the morals. He just didn't quite get them. That's why I think while he made
Grandkids may
mistakes,
not
I
love
think
the
he was a
story.
good person.
But they sure as hell love the money.
No, you bring up a really good point about the lack of spirituality that Christopher had, that his dad or didn't have, or whatever, that his dad obviously brought to the table. And I think that's a problem plaguing a lot of modern writers, is that
Religion
when you look
bad.
at
Religion bad.
no, even worse than religion, life experience. It's like Tolkien was writing The Lord of the Rings in the trenches of a world war.
To be fair, he was writing the Silmarillion in the trenches.
Yeah, but he was a philologist. He actually made the stories based on the made up languages and shit. But like,
yeah, he made the languages first, and then the history to fit the language. But
Yeah,
keep
he
going.
didn't
But
start
it was-
writing
it was
Lord
a
of the Rings
horrific-
till 1940.
yeah, it was a horrific world, like life experience that forged the stories. And a lot of modern writers are kind of like what was mentioned earlier about
they've never
copies of
suffered.
copies. Yeah, well, they're aping off of existing literary works rather than life experiences. Like look at Dungeons and Dragons and every fantasy thing that's come afterwards. It's all been a ripoff of a ripoff of a ripoff. Give us some new shit. Give us something that isn't Tolkien light or the Vegas version.
And Nick here has seen some of my stuff that I've gone through. He knows. He's seen full hand how angry, how anti-religious, how bigoted a lot of these people who claim to be fans of these works are. And the kinds of things they say to me, huh, Nick? I mean,
Yeah.
But the thing that really gets to me is the spiritualism was everything to him. And there was a competition. Even when they did the biography movie about him, they took out most everything about his friendship with C.S. Lewis because they had to. Because that's where his spiritualism always came out the most. Their connections with each other in the church, the things they both did, the fact that they were both English teachers who were embedded in the church, who worked in the church. There was a section they wrote. Yes, there's a section, there's notes on this that have actually been gone through by historians where they wrote these notes for months, where they were competing while writing Narnia and Lord of the Rings for who could make the best metaphor for Christianity in fantasy folklore.
Without
they were competing
allegory.
with each other.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I would like to emphasize that of all his works, J.R.R. Tolkien hated allegory. He loved the moral lessons. He loved the moral frameworks. He absolutely included his spirituality. The man hated allegories. And so he worked very hard to make sure that his work, his entire legendarium, contained
unique
the
to
moral
him.
framework without having to rely on allegorical needs in order to fulfill the message.
Yeah, because
He wanted it to be unique.
Exactly.
They tried to claim, oh, this is just about Hitler and like Hitler in World War II. And he's like, no, bitch, no, it's not. Shut the fuck up. He literally had like one of his forewords, like, I detest allegory. Like, he came out strong.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly what a lot of it was what a lot of writers nowadays, especially the ones who try and ape Tolkien's style, miss out on, because not only are they missing the life experience, like
Martin.
bless you,
Sorry.
but they were also
or Poloni too. You gotta do that.
I'm sorry. Let's be fucking honest. That whole thing that Martin wrote was just a soap opera sex version of knockoff of Tolkien's work.
Oh, absolutely. But they're also missing the moral framework, the skeleton of the entire story that held it together. And they're also missing the religious aspects because these people are so against it that they're like, oh, it has to not have this, or if it has it, it has to have it in a bad context. And one of my favorite quotes that I always love to use is if you are defining yourself by what you are against, you are not for anything, and your statements are hollow.
I miss the
Yes.
I miss the atheists of the 2000s, where like you debate them, and like a lot of these atheists in the 2000s, they often knew the Bible better than a lot of Christians, and so like,
Yeah.
a Christian would do a quote, and it's like actually it's this and this, and like
Well,
you know, because like a lot of the atheists before the 2010s were former Christians who were pissed off with the faith and they left. So like they already had that upbringing, they already had an understanding of the Bible. But like the atheists of the 2010s were just like, oh, edgy atheism.
Well, you got to remember with the atheist versus Christian, originally it was supposed to just be, we don't know for sure, we can't prove it. It was supposed to be a version of agnostic. You don't know what's out there. We can't say this is true. Argue the scientific merit of what you see before you and why you have trouble believing beyond that without attacking other people, belittling them, calling them this or that for having faith, or doing things like Sky God and stuff. And none of them today can do it.
Yeah.
None of them can argue their viewpoint. All they can do is bash yours.
Yeah. And what Video Mirador was putting in the comments, I actually agree with, is Martin was saying, Martin was not only wanted to write an anti-Lord of the Rings and failed, but he was so anti-J.R.R. Tolkien, and he was always on his case how much he hated the works. The man can't even finish his own works. He gets too distracted. How many times have his fans been begging him to finish his series, A Song of Ice and Fire, The Game of Thrones, whatever you want to call it? And he goes, well, no, I'm just going to go write Elden Ring. Bye. And he vanishes.
We'll be lucky if we get Winds of Winter before he dies. We will be lucky.
There'll be no Dream of Spring.
Well,
he's a bitch. Let's face it.
No. Here's what's going to happen. Okay, he's going to put out Winds of Winter. He's probably going to have extensive notes on Dream of Spring, and he's going to have Brandon Sanderson write it, and it's going to come out literally a year later, and it's going to be the best book in the Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, literally.
Also, I don't know if anyone picked up on the parallels I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oda will finish One Piece before Martin will finish A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yep.
I'll probably put up my books before him. I'm a terrible procrastinator.
Beyond Good and Evil
I am
3
too, and
will come out before
yeah.
Oh.
I will literally have
guys, have you? Hey, do you
three
guys
of my
hear?
video games and my tabletop RPG series that I am working on before Martin finishes his series.
No. Did you know that Beyond Good and Evil has been in development hell longer than Duke Nukem Forever?
Yep, 20-something years. Yeah.
Yep.
It's actually like that is how bad of a fuck up when Duke Nukem Forever is not even the least. It's like,
yeah, seriously.
yes, that's why I said Beyond Good and
the
Evil
gold
3
standard.
will come out.
The gold standard is no longer Duke Nukem Forever.
There was like since 2001 or 2002 or something.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So bad. Like,
Yeah. Glad I don't work in that industry anymore.
Started
I was like, when are we
development
getting
as
Skull
a
and Bones?
side scroller like right after 3D came out, and then they were like, "No, let's make it a first-person shooter."
Yep.
And then like the lead director just kept piling on feature after feature after feature after feature as technology and it kept improving, and just didn't know where to stop.
Feature creep. Yep. That's a killer project.
I mean, that's what happened to Star Citizen. You know, like I'm sure Chris Roberts, I'm sure he intended to do the best he can, but Chris Roberts has proven to be not the best manager.
That's honestly why, as much as a lot of people hate Nintendo for their legal work, I have to give them props for being able to stay on task with whatever game it is that they're making.
Unless it's Metroid
They
Prime
have a
4.
vision.
Oh, definitely.
If it has to change and morph due to the needs, it will, but they will stay on task. And so they will get it done, and they will usually cut out feature creep. And either nowadays they can either package it in as DLC or they'll chalk that idea up later and use it in a different game.
Yeah, like that's essentially what happened with Super Mario Galaxy 2. And even in a similar vein, there's a Metroid Prime 4.
Oh yeah.
Tears
Hell,
of the Kingdom is also the
hell,
most
Super
recent
Mario
example of that.
128.
It was
Yeah.
supposed to be a DLC.
Have you guys
Remember-
seen the art book for Breath of the Wild?
It's insane.
No, but I
Well,
want to.
Okay, yeah. So it came
All I
with
really
the
knew about that
collector's
was
edition.
that the whole Link having a mechanical arm thing
Yep.
already was in that.
It was in there, as well as there was him on a skateboard, which you can actually do in Tears of the Kingdom with a minecart on a shield. You can
Yep.
actually rail grind, and
Or
he had a motorcycle, and
I know
those were
that
all
became DLC.
components. Yeah, they and that's it. Yeah, dude, you're totally right. Like Nintendo, their producers wrangle stuff into a realistic scope, and I wish more developers followed suit.
And
Yeah.
and that's kind of reason. That's the whole reason why Valve, their output is slowed down past 2010, is because they have like a flat management structure. Like they said they had to adopt a more traditional team structure in order to get Half-Life Alyx out the door.
Mhm.
Like that's how bad Valve is because it's like, oh, people can just work on whatever projects they want, and it just creates a very laissez-faire atmosphere. And if it wasn't for Steam making them boatloads of money, they wouldn't be able to do this.
Oh
yeah,
my god,
the
dude.
situation is more complicated than just resting on the success of Steam and not doing anything else. Like there's more that happened than that.
You
Yeah.
should see what interviewing at Valve is like, dude. It's a 12-hour interrogation process.
Oh God, I can't even imagine. But I mean, honestly, say what you will about Miyamoto and his penchant for cutting stories out of games,
Mhm.
but when it comes to at least the gameplay end of it, when the man has a vision for the gameplay, that gameplay is tight as heck.
See, this
It
is.
is
Oh,
I agree.
absolutely.
It is
See, I
tight,
see.
it is
I would
very
say.
well maintained.
I would say it's Miyamoto's greatest strength, but also his greatest weakness.
Absolutely.
Miyamoto has this thing, like he has like this thing up his butt, where if there's not some new gameplay intervention or gimmick, he doesn't want to do it. Like that's why we haven't gotten a new F-Zero when like literally all they like if they just released an AC version, he actually would sell boatloads of money, or like how Star Fox, like for Star Fox Zero, it had to have like those new mechanics.
Oh,
They
God,
can't
it's
just
horrible.
make a new version of the game, you know.
Yeah.
Like they have to have some sort of new gameplay gimmick. Like that's why like Super Mario Wonder, it's the new series but on acid.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly,
I guess it's also
nobody
why we
agreed
get stuff
to
like
bend
Bowser's
with
Fury.
Miyamoto than me, because he's the one who canceled a Twilight Princess 2, which I was looking forward to when I was a kid, and he's the one who screwed with Paper Mario after Thousand Year Door, which Super Paper Mario was decent. Everything else after that was pretty middling to bad.
Also,
we got
it was-
the newest one, which is back to about middling.
Also, it was Miyamoto's call to turn Dinosaur Planet into a Star Fox game, which is what led to Rare being sold to Microsoft.
Yeah. The man has had his fair share of screw ups, but at least when it comes to game, if he doesn't touch anything with the story, if it just comes to the gameplay, everything he touches is basically just about ready to turn into gold, because the gameplay that the man makes is tight, it's well made, and it usually tries to explore every facet of it.
But the
How
other
about
thing
a recent?
Nintendo-
How about a recent contribution to story he just did? Apparently, it was Miyamoto's idea for Mario to hate mushrooms
Really?
in the movie.
Really? I would
Also,
never have guessed.
Another thing about
He,
Nintendo.
he suggested it because he thought it would be funny.
Also, another thing about Nintendo that like I don't think people talk about is like Nintendo is actually really open to like new, fresh ideas. Because like, what other company would allow Splatoon to happen? Like,
Oh,
like
yeah.
seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I think Nintendo the last 10 years it has been doing a great job of developing their younger talent.
Did you see the creative dearth? Like I think it really came to light how much of how creatively bankrupt the video games industry is today. Where like they had like the Sony like PlayStation whatever thing, and the first thing people saw from Square Enix was like a bubble foam version of Splatoon. And if you can say game is X, then you know that they're not being original like Nintendo. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
that's really sad.
And I mean, also, it also goes to show, because Xbox doesn't have any exclusives anymore because they've basically gone full multi-plat with their entire library.
And any exclusives they have, they had to spend billions of dollars to acquire them. Like, for, I guess Indiana Jones, if that game ever comes out, will be an Xbox exclusive.
But I mean, honestly, how long do you expect them to keep that Xbox exclusive before they go multi-plat with PC again?
Yeah, Xbox is pretty kind of pointless at this point. If you have a Game Pass, you can just use on your PC.
Yeah, and they think Game Pass will save them, but like as we're starting to see, like these streaming services, like are not the path to infinite growth. Like everyone saw the support that like companies are going to start doing physical stuff again, like physical collections.
Yeah.
It's like so many of these ideas that these people have, like, oh, we're going to have all electric cars, even though.
Yeah, that's never going to work and happen out here in the boondocks. They're delusional crack smokers.
The U.S. power grid's allotment would have to grow by a factor of 3 in order just to meet the minimum requirements if everyone had an electric car.
Yeah, if they tried to install all that shit out where I grew up in the Dakota area to adhere to the standard they want, it would literally cost more to install that than the entire state's annual income could ever support.
Well, I mean, also you have to take into account that most of the U.S.'s electrical mainframe all ties all the way back to New York. Ooh. So in order for the electric car to be able to be nationwide, you would basically have to triple all of the electrical relays in every city and then like quintuple the size of the electric grid in New York in order to just make it work.
There's actually not a lot of New York power in the states I'm in, but they're all over the country is. So
isn't it like on the west side of the country? It's more like Hoover Dam and whatnot.
Yeah. And
so
a lot of the Midwest and plains fall into both. It depends on which one you're in.
So for example, without full-on doxing where I am, I'm from Colorado. I've lived here all my life. We have both Hoover Dam power and New York power.
Oh, nice.
What
And
are you doing, Kat?
It is kind of nice in the fact that because the Hoover Dam is so close to us, it's a relatively more stable power source. But there's still probably about half to 3/4 of the grid that's tied all the way thousands of miles to New York.
Oh, yeah.
That shit is garbage.
Yeah.
It goes out basically every other week.
Wow.
Which is funny because up in the Dakota area, you have pretty much none of the New York power system. And that's closer to the New York power system and further from the Hoover Dam than you are.
Yeah.
Wait, what kind of energy is New York?
Down, Cat.
I mean,
hydro or?
No. New York is still basically running their power grid the way it was when it was first built in like the 1900s.
Yeah, when Tesla put the alternating current turbines.
Yeah,
Oh my
God. It has basically never been fully updated past that. It's just been expanded. And sometimes they will jerry-rig on a newer style of power system in a way that it will interface with the old system, but they will never get rid of the old system because it's too expensive to now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm laughing it a little loud here. She's being just really aggressive for attention.
It's all good. I get cats. I understand.
Yeah. It worries me because when I worked in California, somebody in, I think, Nevada clipped the wrong wire. And the entire Southern California, I was in San Diego at the time, was out of power for like 5 days straight. And when you're working at a game studio, it's kind of hard to do your job when there's literally the only electricity you could see is from the Google offices.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about power outages, anyone who lived in the Midwest, I just have to say 2003. And you know what I'm talking about. I lived through that. My power was out for like 3 days, and like I love how everyone says like, we just if the power goes out, society become lawlessness, bitch. I lived for 3 days without power, and all the other thing is like here in Michigan, power goes out like frequently. Like I think we can last at least a month before people start going feral.
I was gonna say because part of the time I live over here in East Iowa because of my husband's work. And long story, this is very much an engineering mathematics city here. But there was massive, massive flood in '08. And it destroyed a good portion of downtown and the city. And most of the city had no power or water or anything for quite a while. Okay, you're going to calm down and sit still.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
Damn.
that cat is not happy.
She does not like sit still. She always says that when I say sit still. And she's still purring that whole time, by the way.
That's hilarious.
Sassy cat.
But most of the city was completely out of power and water and all that for the better part of a month and some odd days.
Oh, jeez.
We weren't lawless. And people act like nobody can survive. It's like, well, it's getting worse because people are getting more coddled with technology every year. But
It's less
you'd
that
be
it's-
surprised how much people can resound and bounce back when they have to.
Yeah, I think in terms of lawlessness, they're probably more referring to the South because I lived in Houston for about 4 years. And when that big freeze came in a couple of years back, like about 2 or 3 years back, and basically everything but gas was gone, people were breaking into gas stations, stealing gas. People were breaking into grocery stores to steal groceries. People were beating the tar out of each other in the streets if they were out. And we had a number of people who actually died because they just were too dumb to realize, oh, it's cold.
Yeah, I think
know-
the key factor here is desperation. You know,
I've always kind of said, I give Southerners credit for the things they are tough on, but they're all wusses when it comes to dealing with cold, and they do not understand anything.
Oh, they're even wusses with the rain.
It's like,
okay. Just to let you guys know, we will probably be going for another 15 minutes, and then we'll be signing off.
yeah, I'm just used to the mountains where it's a high altitude mountain range next to a painted desert, and they're both arid, so it's really hot and really cold, and you never know which the fuck you're getting, no matter what time of year it is. So it's like, fuck.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, right now it's about 80 degrees out from where I am. So
Where I am over in East Iowa today is mid-90s and hot and humid.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes, Orna, you're all happy now that you're the center of attention again, aren't you?
So let's kind of wrap things up and just kind of get our final thoughts on things. We'll go from the bottom to the top. So, Chris, what are your final thoughts on things?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did a wide gamut of topics tonight, which was
That's
awesome.
one way of saying it.
Yeah.
My hyperactivity came out. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, so as far as like the fandom stuff goes, I guess I just learned that I'm not really a fan of anything because I can when something goes to crap, I just don't give it my money, and then when it dies or does whatever, I don't care anymore. I don't
get used to it.
You're a cynic.
Well, it's because it's happened so much. So many of my hobbies have died that I've actually found solace in independent creations where
The same thing happened to me.
Yeah, man. Like that's where
That's why I redirected my channel to talking about it.
Hell yeah, dude. Like there's some amazing shit coming out from indies that honestly, if I were in the mainstream entertainment media again, I would be like shitting bricks. I would be nervous because it's showing that we don't need big companies to make cool stuff. That's my final thoughts on that. And thanks again for having me, man. I'm glad to meet everybody here. This is really cool.
Honestly, I need to have you on more often because you're always a really good contributor to these discussions. So, yeah. Shiro, what are your final thoughts?
I mean, I guess I would consider myself kind of an older fandom enjoyer, where if a fandom I used to enjoy is starting to go downhill, I'll just cut my enjoyment off and enjoy the stuff I used to. Mm-hmm. But like Chris is saying, a lot of the really, really good stuff is coming out of the indie scene, which is why I'm glad I'm joining that particular scene.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah, I'm coming in from the
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I'm coming in from the video game creation side of it instead of the.
You and Chris have a lot to talk
That's
about.
what I'm trying to do, but yeah, coding makes no sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And thankfully, I actually have a bunch of friends in the indie game dev scene. Actually, my gate into that was one of my personal friends, Natsukaze. But without taking up a whole bunch of time, at least in terms of historical precedents, we're probably going to watch as the old entertainment dies off and indie rises up to become the new mainstream entertainment, especially as all of these tools become easier to use and learn. And so we'll see a big turn into independent creators for the time being. So, yeah, traditional media is definitely going to it should probably be sweating in their pantaloons right about now.
Adapt or die.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you. If you ever want to come on again, just let me know. Nix, what are your final thoughts?
Someone's got some final thoughts. Making them known.
Well, first off, I'd like to say I think my phone sucks ass.
Oh.
But on topic, I'd say I just basically I just cut off my enjoyment of the new stuff too. Once it goes bad. So, like, I don't know, all this stupid stuff that's been going on.
Welcome to the old time. You
fandoms.
have cookies.
Yeah, like, all the stupid stuff that's been going on with fandoms as of late, it's just not worth the hassle. I don't want to consider myself as part of a fandom when that fandom's like rabid and like eating its own. It's just that's not
It's kind of
fun.
messed up, honestly.
If I'm gonna enjoy something, I'm gonna enjoy it with the one or two other people that I actually like who also like the same thing. And I don't really believe in consumerism as much as the other companies do. Like, oh, don't think, just consume. Like, no, if I'm gonna be a part of something, I want it to be good. There's a reason I fell in love with that product or, whatever in the first place. And now it's lost that spark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the most succinct way to put it is you're not a consumerist or a corporatist, you're a capitalist.
Exactly.
Filthy capitalist.
Oh,
All right.
What am I? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I haven't brought it up really when I went on to, but like I'm a huge fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I don't have much merch.
No.
I don't have much of the merch, and I don't really engage with the larger fandom because they're rabid, foaming at the mouth idiots who just have like 5 jokes that they keep repeating ad nauseum.
Speedwagon is best being an example.
Or the fucking gay jokes.
Taxation is theft, my roads. Shut the fuck up.
Sometimes it's better to be an enjoyer of the actual media than to be a stand for the fandom.
Exactly. That's just where I'm going to leave myself.
Fair enough. It's a good conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Lug, what are your final thoughts?
I don't know. We compiled together so much in such a rapid period of time. It's like some kind of pop quiz I didn't study for.
How dare you?
Slacker.
Didn't you know that this was going to be on the test?
God,
No,
man.
Don't make me get out the yardstick like a nun.
Ooh, Sonic's Frontiers. Nice.
Well, yeah, it just got an update because it's Sonic's birthday today.
Oh, nice.
Ornate.
All right. Eagle Rider, even though you've been really, really kind of eating up the time here, what are your final thoughts?
Oh, bite me. No, I
don't. I might. I will.
It's just a matter of, keeping in mind that being a blind fan, being somebody who just consumes, because, well, I always have, that's idiotic at best and simping douchebaggery at the core. Love what you love because you love it. If it changes and you don't love what it's become, move on. But don't sit there and act like it's the end all be all for every fandom to stay in line always, or God forbid you move on and get a life to some of these people who have made hate watching the like addiction.
No hate watching. No
hate watching. Don't
No
give
hate
them
watching.
attention. If you don't like what they're becoming, vote with your pocketbook, vote with your time. Tell them this is idiotic and move the fuck on. The more you give them hate watches, tweets, streams, chats, conversations, the more power you give them.
Exactly.
Don't watch the monsters. Just don't look. Just don't look.
I use
So
that GIF on people all the time when they start bitching.
Yeah, I do too. So I just wanted to thank everyone for being on here. This is a great conversation. A bit scatterbrained, but you know sometimes you gotta throw caution to the wind and just have some chaos, baby. Thank you, Evil Riders, for being the mistress of chaos. I appreciate you. So for everyone here, I just want to say thanks for watching, and remember, I can only show you the door. You're the ones to walk through it.